With every shovel of dirt that fell on his back, the donkey was doing something amazing. He would shake it off and take a step up. As the farmer's neighbors continued to shovel dirt on top of the animal, he would shake it off and then take a step up. Pretty soon, everyone was amazed as the donkey stepped up over the edge of the wall and trotted off. So, the reason why I told you all about this story is to enlighten you with the fact that life is going to shovel dirt on you. Okay, and not just any particular kind of, but all kinds of dirt. So the actual trick, it is not to get bogged down by it, but step on it. So we can get out of the deepest wells by not stopping and we never giving up. So let's shake it off and take a step up. So before we start today's session, I'll give you a small glance about the yesterday's session. Yesterday, we were joined by Mr. Sridhar Gampala, who is Chief Operating Officer at Agri Private Limited, and Dr. Basu Jiranwar, who is Chief Scientist and Managing Director at Creagen Agri and Biotech Private Limited and Agri App Technologies Private Limited, who both gave us insights and answered questions on the topic of business model innovation in AgTech. For our second session yesterday, we had Mr. Anurag Saxena, who is Principal Scientist at NDRI Karnal, ICR, who shared his presentation and thoughts on the very premium topic of artificial intelligence, a new dimension in Indian agriculture. Talking about today, farmers are willing to innovate despite macro uncertainty, says a new global survey of farmers from global consulting firm McKinsey. That's good news for AgTech adoption, as many farmers plan to try new products and practices over the next couple of years. As a professional or agriculture student, embracing smart technologies in agriculture can have a significant impact on your performance and bottom line in AgTech industry. Through these sessions, you are gaining expert and deep net guidance for future roles in AgTech industry. So today, we have with us none other than Mr. Navneet Rai, Chief Digital Officer, Arya Ag. Arya Ag is an agribusiness value chain integrator from India with a specific focus on catalyzing the ecosystem for smallholder farmers and FPOs through post-harvest interventions that include storage solutions, credit, risk guarantees, financial and market linkages, and policy level changes. Sir is an alumnus of IIT Bombay. He has also worked with Future Group, where he was tasked to build an integrated planning and supply chain platform, where category, marketing, supply chain, and finance can discuss and plan together to drive efficiency and effectiveness. Let us know more from Mr. Rai about satellite surveillance and FPO digitization. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhupesh, for the kind introduction. And a very good evening to all the audience as per the Indian Standard Time. I'm not sure if some of you are in different time zones. I am here on this panel along with my colleague, Mr. Avijit, who is the head of AI and is primarily the brainchild of the satellite technology what Arya has developed. So I will take first 2-3 minutes to introduce Arya as an organization and where does this satellite scheme fits in overall scheme of things. And then for the rest of the session, we will specifically dwell down upon the details of this capability and how agri tech, right, or how agri as an industry can benefit from satellite surveillance. So let me just project my screen if that can be allowed. Yeah, share screen is disabled right now, Bhupesh.
1 second, sir. We'll just check to that. So can you please check again?
Not yet. Host disabled participant screen sharing is what I'm getting.
Santosh sir, if you can please allow.
So to the audience, while that is happening, let me continue with the verbal description. So Arya is one of the largest private sector storage solution provider in agri grain commodities. So we manage 3,000 warehouses across India. And the second line of business what Arya has is loan against commodity, wherein through our own NBFC, that is Aridhan, we impact the life of close to 1,200 odd farmers and traders. And with the help of banks like HDFC, Axis Bank, and Yes Bank, you name, one of the prominent bankers who are into agri commodity, we act as collateral managers. And we also provide, as a third layer of service, the trade financing solution for providing market linkages. We also, as a fourth leg of business, is actually the data science, correct? And that's where the focus is in today's call. Um, okay, yeah, the screen sharing is enabled. Bhupesh, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So to the audience, this is what I wanted to share as an integrated map. So we start at the very base level with farmer data, farm data, and crop data. All of this add together to provide pre-harvest and post-harvest solutions. Pre-harvest includes crop advisory, insurance, loan, credit assessment, and predictive analysis. And in the post-harvest services, RA is into smart warehousing, farming and community management, supply chain aggregation, and loan book enhancement. Everything with the help of data and digital first approach. Now, coming specifically to the role of satellite in the integrated uh, agriculture value chain. So if you see the very foundation, the farmer data, the farm data, and the crop data, basically to gather this data at a scale is very, very cost prohibitive, right? And something like technology brings this data right onto your desktop in a very, very cost effective manner and without any human biases. And basis this data, actually various layers of application can be built on top of it for banking industry, for input services companies, for corporates who are desirous of knowing the arrivals in the market, or as simple as someone trying to do or offer the advisory services to the member farmers. So we will see the specific of this particular technology in the overall view of the integrated agriculture value chain. So today I'm going to speak largely from the point of view of financial agencies, but it holds true for various other stakeholders as well. So at the top, we have the satellite data coming from Sentinel and Landsat 3 and 4. Then this raw data is processed using AI ML algorithms, which are proprietary to us. And these models actually provide you three core data points. So first and foremost, we are able to detect the farm boundaries. See, earlier to the audience, we were required to carry the smartphone and walk around the perimeter of the field. And that's how the plot boundaries were detected, basically to calculate the area or the acreage under cultivation. However, our technologies relies on just one coordinate or the lat long. If you can share with us, we can auto plot the farm boundaries with close to 96% precision, right? So that makes this model very, very scalable. A single plot can be added in few seconds. We can add up the plot level information and provide you village, taluka, district, state level information of cultivation as well. So this farm boundary detection is the first thing, which is very, very scalable with the help of technology. Now, if you add to this farm boundary detection layers for banks, as in who the owner of this particular plot is, this data of plot has a now human name attached to it. And this human, right, can be offered services like crop loan, crop insurance, or maybe even personal loan, because if largely rural income or the farming income is the primary source of income for you, we can, with the help of satellite data, go back up to 3 to 5 years in timeline and share with you the data points on cultivation on historically what has happened, how frequently it has been inundated with drought or it has gone through floods, for example, and what has been the average yield on that particular plot. All of this without really visiting the field, correct? And for historical 5 years, so that you can do a fair assessment of the income. So that's where, this auto plot boundary and plot boundary detection is the foundational step. Then what happens is, we have trained our model for around 50 plus crop, where we get the unique digital signatures, and we can tell you whether it is a maize or a paddy or a wheat or a soya bean, for that matter, or even among horticulture, we have decent amount of success when it comes to grapes or tomato, for example. And we can tell you whether the sowing on that plot has happened, which crop has been sown, what state of vegetation that particular crop is, and whether it is getting harvest ready or not, what level of maturity that particular crop has reached. So from vegetative state to flowering stage to grain filling stage to maturity stage, all these four key milestone in the crop growth can be monitored from the satellite data. Further to this, and this is again one of the most important contribution from the advisory and input chemical point of view, we can track three different kind of stresses on your plot as well. So we calculate the biotic stress, which is largely caused by the bacteria, viruses, fungi, parasites, etc. And we can tell you which part of the farm and what percentage of the acreage in your plot is actually infested, right? So that the corrective measure can be taken. With a fair amount of accuracy, around 85 to 90%, we can also assess the extent of damage which has happened on the crop, right? So as you see on my screen, the red block is where the damage is permanent and the crop health, it's very difficult to reclaim. And the yellow one is where the early signs of stress is already detected. Green is the area where the crop is still healthy, and you can expect a normal yield from that portion of your land. Same way, the interplay of humidity, water, and temperature also causes stress in the crop, which we call as abiotic stress, right? So with the help of the satellite provides you data not only in visible band but in 12 spectral bands, and because of that, it is possible to know what's the interplay of moisture and temperature is causing into that particular crop, which helps us calculate the abiotic stress as well. Now, with the help of satellite data, to my audience, we can also measure the relative growth of crop on the same field, right? And basis that, we can say which portion of the, let's say the sowing has happened, right, pretty much at the same time. And the seed varieties is also pretty much the same. And assuming other parameters are same, if some part of the fields are growing at a faster rate or a slower rate than rest of it, we attribute it to relative deficiency or uneven distribution of nutrients on that particular plot. And this becomes an information to take measures like laser leveling of the field, for example. Now, just to summarize, these are the three core capabilities: farm area or the boundary detection, which tells me the acreage. And then comes the stage of the crop and the type of crop or the crop classification. And third is measuring the stress which that particular crop is going through. Now you combine all these three data together, what you get is various layers of applications for different industries who are involved in agriculture. So for example, if you take the financial sector, while CIBIL becomes one source of credit eligibility of a particular person, but as I mentioned, if the farm score or the farm income is primary source of income, we also generate a farming score, right? So for example, the credit score of 82, what you see on my screen, is cumulative of historical irrigation score, the soil score, and the yield score. And this credit score, along with or in the absence of, right, the data like CIBIL, becomes a good data point to assess the farmer's income, right? So, and once you know the income, the dashboard allows you to calculate the approximate loan amount, right? So what you see on my screen is a typical case where a small farmer loan has to be sanctioned. And let's say this farmer is growing soybean on an acreage of zero point 0.2 acres of land, correct? And the bank is willing to provide 75% of the income as a loan. Now, the input cost guidelines are there for that particular territory. We borrow from that and we arrive at what should be the estimated cost of cultivation. And basis historical records, what has been the estimated yield. And the subtraction of the two will give me the income and the paying capacity of that particular person. Basis that you can calculate the loan exposure for on that particular farmer, for example. Now, this data is also consumed at an aggregated level by corporates or traders for that matter, or even by FPOs, right? The farmer producer organization, when they want to do a catchment level analysis. With the help of satellite, as I mentioned earlier, we can add up plots to a village level, add up village to tehsil, and add up tehsils to make a district. And you can see which crop is progressing under what acreage of cultivation in that particular district, let's say Raipur, and at what stage that crop is, and what's the percentage of damage or yield to expect. So if I combine all these data points, I can tell you with some approximation how the yield. Let me just show how we publish this report. One second. So if you see on my screen, this is how the corporate data would look like, right? So in the state of Andhra Pradesh, for example, in the Kharif season, what has been the total area under cultivation for maize? And this area is actually 13.54% increase from the previous year. So we can provide you historical 5-year data, but nonetheless, right, industry is more concerned with, relative to last year, what has happened on the field. So we can actually tell you at an aggregate level whether, the acreage under cultivation has gone up or has gone down. And accordingly, people can make procurement decisions as well. Same way, this data can be shared at a macro level on the stress. So imagine the case of an input supply company, let's say Bioseeds, DCM Shriram Bioseeds, and they would like to know in let's say Indore Devas belt, while the wheat crop is going on, which all are the villages where the maximum impact of stress, that is biotic stress, has been seen. Once they know this data from us, they can direct their retailers, who are the supplier of their agri chemicals, to start their marketing campaigns in those particular villages and inform the farmers. Or they can also actually inform their supply chain team to ensure that those retailers are not out of stock for that particular kind of a disease which the wheat is going through. So it helps in smart marketing and it helps in smart supply chain planning from the agrochemical industry point of view. That's the second use case of this application. What we have also developed is an app called as RA Shakti. Let me try to join from the and show a quick demonstration of how this technology is consumed by the end farmers.
Recording in progress.
I think it will. Bhupendra, I have joined from a different device. Can you allow me again to be the host so that I can project the app?
So by what name have you joined? I'll just check, sir.
Yeah. Mm, mm, mm.
Done, sir.
Just allow me the sharing rights once again. Only the host can share is what it is showing.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, sir. One second.
Sorry, audience, just few more seconds to sort out this logistics.
Sir, can you please check now?
Yeah, actually, I'm projecting my screen, but somehow not able to.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Yeah, yeah. So once again, please accept my apologies. This is how we serve the FPO and their member farmers with the satellite data. Um, so let's say FPO has a member, right, called as Khadak Singh, who is growing cotton. And when I click on this particular farmer's name, I can see the actual status of the farm and what is the degree of biotic stress and abiotic stress, the vegetation, which is there on the particular farmer's plot. And once this information is known, I can share as an FPO an advisory with this farmer. I can actually go to community and send a pre-configured message to this farmer if it is regarding fertilizer or let's say some medicine or some seed, or I can start basically a video call also with all the member farmers. The farmers can post basis the the input provided by satellite images. They make a actual ground visit. They can click the picture of the actual ground and send it to the community for verification and seeking advice from them. So this is how the satellite tech from area side is actually taken to the last mile of farmers as well, and making the advisory more data oriented actually for them. We also provide, by the way, this has nothing to do with satellite, but there is a small capability of providing an input catalog where FPOs can share with their member farmers, wherein the satellite related stress, we are trying to come up with the disease analytics as well. And if you have those remedies already in stock with you, you can share with the member farmers, okay, for this particular kind of stress, this is the kind of action step or medicine or chemical you need to perhaps evaluate that can be helpful. Right. So this is how you get to see the farmer plots, and all the members here can be managed, and a mass broadcast etc. can also be done. For example, this is Bayer, FPO name is there, and let's say the price for this particular chemical and whom you want to call. And I can select all the member farmer of this particular FPO and send the message to them actually using this app. Yeah. So with this, actually, I will take a pause on the core application side and invite or open the forum for Q&A, Bhupesh, if that's okay, because as I can see, we have 10 more minutes to go.
Right, sir. So if any participants have any questions, they can put that in the chat box or they can raise their hand and we'll allow them to unmute and ask.
Yeah, Avjit, please let me know if you would like to add anything here, but yeah, we can.
Sure, we can move ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, you can ask a question, please.
Yeah, hi.
This question is regarding the resolution of the camera, which is used for satellite data. Actually, what we tried is we tried with some other app where the resolutions were not in that much capacity. For example, they have the highest resolution they have is 10 cross 10 meters. So what is the resolution of your camera for the data which you are collecting?
Sir, I would like to answer that if I am audible clearly.
Yes, Avjit, you're audible.
Yeah, hi. So basically the data that's available in the satellite ecosystem is through two different sources. One is through NASA and one is through European Space Agency. And
Okay.
these two agencies, what they have done is, because satellite data capturing at a frequent interval is very costly. So they have released data in public domain where you are able to monitor your plot every third day. And this free data is available at 10 meter cross 10 meter resolution, that you're right. The beauty lies here is like you will have to retrain your models in such a way that this 10 meter cross 10 meter is resampled at 1 by 1 meter. So as Sir was showing you the farms in the application. So in India, the typical farm size is 0.2 acres or 0.3 acres, let's say in northern part of India, apart from Haryana and Punjab. And there will be only 2 pixels of data. For 1 hectare of plot, it will be 10 pixels. And it won't be a very sensible information that's coming out of these kind of 2 or 3 pixels. So what we had done here is we have resampled at 1 meter and then we are able to extrapolate the data. So the final delivery is at 1 meter, but the underlying images remain the same for both of the deliverables.
Okay, sir.
And what was the data, if I may ask, were you able to get through satellite and what was the accuracy on that? If you can give any information on that.
The data of pathogen attack, the data of stress attack. So that is the main data we need.
Okay, sometimes what also happens is because of cloud, the data becomes inaccurate. Because
Okay.
clouds are there and the removal of cloud is a very tricky thing. So if it's not removed properly, these kind of errors occur, like you won't be able to get actual data out of that.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir. So we it will be good, sir, if you can share your email ID with us.
On the chat box, I will add both of our mail IDs.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Right. I think that sir answered your question correctly. So,
Yes, very well, very well.
right. Moving ahead, sir, we have a question from Shagun. The question is, how accuracy of data presented by app is trusted? Hello.
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes.
Avjit is taking that question.
Yes, sir. So basically the validation in agriculture is only visible. So what we do is for any companies as a POC, we ask them to give us roughly 100 plots. And for these 100 plots, we provide them the data and ask their field team to exactly go on the plot locations that we are mentioning and validate our data. And if it's visually validated, then like companies are comfortable utilizing the data set. So it's a visual validation, like through third party or through the direct farmers or through the clients.
Right. So our next question is from Dr. Preeti herself. So the question is how satellite surveillance is impacting the FPOs? And if possible, can you please switch on your camera while answering?
Navni sir, would you like to take this question?
Yeah. So both the instructions, Bhupesh, have been followed. So, so the way it is helping FPOs is they can add, first of all, the member farmers plot onto this app called as RS Shakti. And when the farm addition process requires the farmer to add the lat long along with the name of the farmers, and they can provide the document also. Now, what happens is with the help of satellite data, a couple of things can happen. One, you can see what's happening on the field of that particular member farmer and provide timely input. If you go by the surveys, whom does farmer looks up to for advice when it comes to agriculture? 33% of the weightage goes to actually the progressive farmer in the community, and the balance and next is actually 33 equal weightage goes to the retailer and the FPO admin when they want to hear the advice. So these guys are real influencers, and this satellite data, Dr. Preeti, helps as a very scientific grounds for them to assess the land of the farmers. The yet another way in which this data is helpful is, now because I know the farm and the farmer, right, and the history of that farm, this data can be very easily provided to the crop insurance and crop loan or a personal loan providing company, so that if, let's say, a particular farmer, Navneet, is desirous, then I have all my plot data which goes as a well formulated report with your permission to the banks, and they can assess your income and accordingly set up a limit and offer the loan. So currently these are the use cases which we have activated, Dr. Preeti.
Right, sir. Next question is from Vani. Vani, you can unmute and if possible, switch on your camera as well.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't find the camera option.
So it's fine. You can ask.
Yeah. So good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
You're audible, Vani.
Yeah. Sir, in your technology, how could you differentiate the abiotic stress and biotic stress? Because some some abiotic and biotic stress, their symptoms are similar. So it's need a technical expert. How in your software or technology, how could you differentiate this one? Hello?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you.
My colleague Avjeet will take this question.
Yeah.
So in real time, there are certain diseases or signatures which are neither detectable through satellites, or there are situations which are not detected through visual interventions as well. But when we take the mass samples, like in case of 90% of the situation, we are able to distinguish based on the training that we had done. So what we did was we were able to send people on the ground to capture the diseases and incident of these kind of stresses. And the reasons for which these stresses are occurring acted as a data training system for our database. So we are able to provide an information around how the canopy has been performing, how the roots are performing, while the crop is under stress, what kind of moisture the particular plot or the particular plant has been receiving. And based on all these data points, we are able to classify whether the stress is biotic, abiotic, and in a few cases, nutrient driven also. So whether it's because of lack of nutrient, because a few of the signatures, let's say yellowing of leaves or other visual signatures, are also caused through nutrient deficiencies or micronutrient deficiencies. So it's the way we have trained our system that's helping us classify at a very decent accuracy level.
So, you are sending some person as a person in field and collect the data, right?
Yeah, for training part, like for the first year of any data point, we do this exercise for roughly 20,000 farms. Once we have enough data to train our AI models, we train the system, and then everything is done through satellite images directly.
See, sometimes what happened, Avjit, so the abiotic and biotic stress both on the field. In that case,
yeah. So if you see a particular area within the field, let's say 100-meter square grid, like 10-meter by 10-meter grid, and the particular grid may be infected by both biotic and abiotic stresses, but in that case, biotic stress is detected. It's given more priority. So if a stress is detected to be biotic, we keep on like it's a biotic stress. It's because of the external factors.
Yeah, correct. But what happened, Avjit, nowadays the abiotic stress also very vulnerable because climate change and all. So keep it in your technology. If do something best means it's good for farmers.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. So our next question is from Mukesh. Mukesh, you can please ask.
So I can see a few questions on the chat box as well while Mukesh is asking his question. So how often is the satellite image taken? Well, it gets updated once in 3 days, but usually we service our clients with a snapshot taken once in every 7th day. Correct. So we update the data weekly. Otherwise, the cost of the project will be very, very prohibitive. What else solution Arya.ag provides to farmers? Dr. Preeti has asked. So again, matlab, it is related to the storage solution. Like the farmer can deposit the grain in our warehouse, and they can also take loan against commodity, that is warehouse receipt financing. And to FPOs, by the way, we provide unsecured line of credit as well, called as Arya Mitra, which is to the tune of 25 lakhs to 50 lakhs. So financial services and storage services are the other lines of services apart from data. Can you share the tentative pricing structure of these services for farmers? We do not sell this data directly to farmers. It is either the FPO or one of the sponsored agency who would be paying on behalf of the farmer. The data to farmer, we try to keep it free, right? And the rate at which we are charging the FPOs, depending on how many members and the acreage under monitoring, right, they have, it comes to around 7 rupees per acre per month.
All right, sir. So we have another question from Amol. He's asking which spectral range is beneficial for identifying insect and pest infestations.
Yeah. So
should that not be our secret sauce, by the way? Yeah. Avjit, please
quickly answer this question. So for any kind of, let's say, visual inspection, normal RGB is there, red, green, blue. For any kind of moisture related information, like you want to see change in moisture, how much, let's say, canopy is having moisture, what is the soil moisture, there is a band called near infrared. So there are typical near infrared cameras in every building in form of CCTVs. The same camera which is in the CCTV is on the satellite, but like a little bit bigger, which is helping us capture data around the moistures. Similarly, there is another camera which is shortwave infrared, which captures data more on the, let's say, the quality of aspects. So it's on the higher side. So if you combine all these things and see a pattern on how these things are changing over time, then we will be able to correlate like it's a healthy area, it's a stressed area, it's a paddy crop. And if you're seeing one image at a time, it won't make any sense. So it's the way how the data is utilized in a time series actually helps classify things inside agriculture, because agriculture, we have a very big benefit that the plot remains constant. So every image that the satellite is taking, the land is not going to move. So you can add up images, then do a calculative analysis on how things are moving in real time. And this is the whole basis of the GIS, like the time series on the changes on the surface of land.
Right, sir. Got that answer. So we have one last question that is from Kamakshi. The question is whether this type of surveillance can be done by low budget webcams or mobile phones.
Yes, absolutely. So Arya also has released a mobile application to answer this specific issue. So what happens is there are few farmers who are having shades, a few farms are under, let's say, greenhouses, and there are certain areas where satellites are not able to see. Like in case of northeastern part of India, if you see the turmeric farming, it's under plantation, dense plantation, and satellites are not able to see that. But we have to create traceability in those geographies as well. So what ARIA has done and what other companies are also doing is utilizing mobile as a land satellite. So images captured through mobile phone or through low resolution cameras can stitch together, lat long or location can be added, and this acts as a very good traceability mechanism.
Right, sir. With that, we would end the Q&A session, sir. Thank you so much to you both for giving us this insightful session and answering the questions. The lecture actually in itself had given us the participants a perspective shift. And actually, we all gained a lot from such deep insights from your presentation. We thank you both, sir, for joining today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bhupesh, for coordinating this session so well. And would like also to thank Dr. Preeti for giving Arya an opportunity to interact with audience. And yeah, to every participant, heartful thanks, right, for your patience and listening to our knowledge sharing session. Yeah, thank you once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Moving ahead, now I would like to welcome Mr. Yash Jain, who is Business Solutions Architect at Satsur. Sir is working out use cases across various industries for use of satellite data as a source of decision making in analysis, using satellite data for a variety of applications in infrastructure, banking, insurance, and climate change. Satsur is a decision intelligence company. So over to you, sir.
Hey, thank you so much. I'll just share my screen. Just let me know if it is visible for you.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, so I am Yash. I am from Satsur. So Satsur is a decision intelligence company. We are based out of Bangalore, and primarily we work, in application of satellite data across various industries. So our journey actually started in 2017 in Bangalore. That is when our founders, who are from ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, they got together and they started working in agriculture sector in India and a few of Southeast Asian countries to provide solutions using remote sensing, using satellites and other auxiliary data. So since then, we have expanded to various countries. So currently, we are headquartered in Bangalore, but we also have offices in the US in Philadelphia, in the UK, in Switzerland, and some sales offices in Mumbai and other cities in India as well. So we have recently raised our Series A funds, and we have some of the major private sector banks who are also our clients as our investors. So you can see that ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank, HDFC, these are our primary investors in our Series A round. Coming to how Satsur uses satellite data to enable decision intelligence across sectors. So we primarily work in three major verticals. One is agriculture, the other is infrastructure, and the third one is climate change. So we are targeting around 7 to 9 different SDGs using the solutions that we provide to different industries. So we have specific products that work under individual sectors that I'm showing here. Coming to, so primarily, since agriculture is one of the priority sectors in India, I wanted to discuss that in today's discussion. So if we see currently, if you look at lending in agriculture, that was one of the focuses of the budget presented recently by our finance minister. So currently the outstanding in agriculture is nearly 15 lakh crore, and the NPA, which is basically your default, nearing your default, is around 9.8%, which is highest among all the sectors. So the reason for this is varied. Like it's an unorganized lending when it comes to agriculture. And the overall cycle for a farmer to come and get a loan from a bank takes anywhere between 35 days to 45 days, depending on which bank they are approaching. So we saw that as one of the barriers for our farmers getting access to credit, and hence we started looking into how we can provide a solution to it. So how we do is we've created a digital twin of agriculture using satellite data. Now what we do is we map the entire region, the agriculture areas in across the entire country using satellite images, and using our models, we create a digital twin. Now, what do I mean by digital twin? So across the season, when the crop has been sown, it grows, it reaches a particular peak, and then it reaches maturity, and then it is harvested. So the entire thing is mapped using satellite data. Now, how it helps is, so banks, when they give a loan, they have to do a lot of field visits. They have to depend a lot on the farmers to give them information which they record for their loan disbursals, to make a decision on how much amount of money they can disburse to a particular farmer. Now, using this digital twin, we give out certain key parameters to these banks which can help them do proper credit disbursals in areas where credit is not reaching, and also help them minimize their NPAs. So they'll be more proactive in lending in these sectors. So agriculture, currently, although it is a priority sector, banks are not that willing because of the high NPA. So, using satellite data, we monitor things like what is the irrigation condition on the land? Are they cropping across the year? What are the crops that they are growing? So such kind of some 20-25 different parameters help the banks take their decision. So once we solved this problem with the banks, so we started working with some major private sector banks since 2018. And with them, we developed these functionalities and analytics over time. And finally, in 2020, we came up with an entire product offering, which is currently utilized by almost 80% of the banking industry in India, where we have three major elements to our product. One is your underwriting, where the disbursal happens. So that's what I was talking about the entire time. And then there is monitoring. So once your loan has been disbursed, how do you monitor the asset on which you have lent, like the farmland, the crop that is growing? And then there is collection. How do you get back the money that you have lent? So beyond this, so to get this product to all the banks that are present, so there are many regional banks in different states and different districts in India. So those are the banks, so we call them regional banks, RRBs. They are the ones that have maximum exposure to agriculture. Now, in order to reach those banks and to make agriculture lending one of the mainstream lending. So today, when you talk about personal lending, personal loans, how are they disbursed? So you get pre-approved loans using your CIBIL score. So that's a standard that the banks have made. So we have partnered with CIBIL, TransUnion CIBIL, to create a joint score for agriculture lending using our satellite-based analytics and their credit system, so that lending in agriculture sector is also structured and driven as well. So that's about a partnership with CIBIL. And finally, so we worked a lot on the application of satellite data. So this was one of the use cases that I covered, which was in agriculture lending in India. But if you look at it, a lot of the satellite data currently, the Indian players are sourcing from agencies like NASA and ESA, European Space Agency, or we have some private players from whom we have to buy, like you have Airbus, you have Playdis. So what we have done is, now that we have a lot of applications on the satellite data, we are also launching our own satellites to have that vertical integration. So we will own the source of data, we will have that data available, and we will also work on that application across India and other major geographies that are our targets. So we'll be launching a fleet of 4 satellites by 2024. So I think that was all from my side. I mean, we can open up to questions if there are any.
Surely, sir. Anyone, if you have any questions, you can drop in the chat or raise your hands. Mazumdar, you can ask a question, please.
Sir, currently you have the data for soil also?
So we do monitor things like soil moisture and some like carbon content, etc. But that has applications with companies like Bayer and crop sciences company like Rallis. So we do that at a large scale, but that's about a specific application.
Okay.
And also this data is combined with data such as your soil health card, which is a data collected by the government over a period of time. So you have auxiliary data that marries with satellite data to actually give analytics that, for example, brings down the time it takes for crop science companies to release their new seeds into the market from 8 years of R&D to maybe 1.5 year of R&D.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Oppo, you can ask your question, please.
Sir, you said that you get this data from NASA.
You're on mute. You can ask your question again. Altin, then Vani, you can ask a question, please.
Yeah. Hi, Yash.
Hi.
So this is about crop modeling. So in your technology, is there any related software to crop modeling or any work going on related to crop modeling?
So crop modeling, how we do is, so these images, basically, these are optical images that come in form of RGB, NIR, and shortwave infrared, SWIR data points. What we do is, using certain machine learning algorithms, we look at some time series data on these different indices that are created using these images. And basis those models that we've created, we identify crops and certain parameters on those crops.
So you are started in particular area or for entire the whole India?
So currently we are covering, so the imagery and the analytics is available pan India and across other countries as well. But when it comes to analytics, one of the primary things that you need is the geolocation of the area that you want to observe. So for that, village level analysis is available pan India, but getting those farm images, then we have some field deployments, or maybe some of the boundaries have been marked by national remote sensing or state remote sensing departments. So we get access from those sources, and then we give specific farm level insights to our customers.
Yeah. So, Yash, one more question from my side. So this is about related to soil microclimate. So is there any technology processing under soil microclimate to know soil microclimate?
So do you mean by the NPK content by soil microclimate? Do you mean by NPK content?
No, not that one. That is a nutrient level of soil.
Yeah.
This is a soil microclimate means what we are having a climate now. So the temperature, relative humidity, like that.
So,
Yeah.
So humidity or moisture and temperature so moisture at the surface at a 30 centimeter depth is something that can be observed using satellites.
Sorry, sorry, yes, I'm interrupting you. So relative humidity, I said to, for example, I said, so that's not coming under soil microclimate. So it's related to soil water holding capacity, soil moisture content, or so inside the soil, what is the capillary ratio and CEC. So all those things.
Yeah, surely. So that depends on what kind of ranging your satellite has. With optical, maybe you can look at moisture over a period of time, but for other things, if you have to go at a depth to understand that, you need radiometric satellites. So those kind of texture data has to be observed. So that goes to a radiometric satellite as compared to an optical satellite.
So as of now, it's not yet started in your.
No, so there are radiometric satellites available, but those use cases are defined for different clients. So these kind of use cases currently are taken by governments majorly.
Okay.
So when they do their observations, they usually depend on government, bodies like MNCFC and these kind of bodies.
So that is coming under policy level if it is commercialized. So I'm asking in any, a trial is going on or something in your team.
So obviously R&D with some of the companies, like a proof of concept has been going on, but that is currently not in India. So we are doing it in
Okay,
other
yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks. Yes. Bye.
Yeah, no problem.
Right, sir. Mazumdar, I think you have another question you can ask. Okay, until then, so we have another question in the chat.
So we have some things in what opportunities are there for agri graduates in SatSure. Obviously, we work with a lot of agri graduates. We have people who have done masters in agriculture, and we have some senior leaders who help us create these solutions using satellite data. So if you are interested, you can obviously reach out. You can have a look at the careers page. It's available on satsure.co. They are usually listed there. And can you share the pricing mechanism of these satellite data? Okay, so it depends. So pricing mechanism, usually the satellite imagery are priced per square kilometer. And so one snapshot is taken at one time period. So on one date, one snapshot is taken and it is priced at per square kilometer. So it can be anywhere from like $7-8 to some $12.
Right, sir.
And
So
is it
next
feasible
question.
to map disease or hotspot? Like, so honestly, diseases and hotspots, it depends on what is the characteristic of that disease that is visible on the crop leaf or the crop canopy. Now, if it is visible, we need high-res data to capture that. Now, the thing with agriculture in India is we have a lot of smallholder farmers for which basically have access to credit somewhere from 1.6 lakhs to around maybe say 4 or 5 lakhs. Now, if I give this kind of analysis to banks or some of the institutions in India, it is not financially feasible for them. So obviously this works something in geographies like Brazil and Argentina, where the farmers own land of 100 hectares or more than 150 acres.
Right. So our next question is, how can bank analyze crop economics using satellite imaging?
Yeah, so these kinds, so basically in order to lend, when a banker goes to the land, they ask for a few things. One is the ownership of the land. They check the ownership records. Next thing they check is which crop they are growing, and if they have irrigation facilities or not, and if they are using the land across the entire year. Basis that they decide the amount. So we identify all these things using satellite imagery. So crop identification is done using our machine learning algorithms. Irrigation and cropping intensity are also identified using satellite indices. So we have different indices that monitor the water the water on the surface, the soil moisture, as well as the health of the crop. So these kind of indices help us gain or capture these specific insights of the land. And the same thing is passed on to the bank, and they make their decisions using these data points.
Right, sir. Right, sir. With that, we end this session, sir. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for answering all the questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.